Well,
Okay.
Live thing.
I think we're live.
Live.
Everybody.
Can anyone? Let's just wait to make sure that the comments confirm that they can see us. We're using brand new technology that we have never. It's not brand new. It's probably been around for years, but brand new for us. That apparently makes us all show up. So, someone say something. Yeah.
Someone take comments. Let us know if this is actually happening or if.
Yeah, people are saying "hey" and "hello."
Thank you, David Griffin. We can see you. All right.
All right. So, are we using real names? Because I recognize some of these people.
Are
maybe
using
not.
real names?
Yeah. No. I mean, some of the usernames I recognize, so like I could call them by their actual names, but I don't know if that's. Oh, that's probably breaking some kind of etiquette.
Let's keep it anonymous.
Anonymous.
Keep it anonymous, like the hotels in John Wick.
Hello, my real life friends in the chat.
Cool. All right. Well, we're working. We've never done this before. We are all in. I think the last time we did a live stream, we were actually all in the same room. Right.
It just happened to be so, yeah.
We just happened to be in the same place. So this is the first time that it's working remotely. So
weren't we like doing some kind of rehearsal or some kind of tour? That's usually how it lines up.
Yeah.
That was before the Veil release tour. Yeah.
Yeah. In Massachusetts before we played, those shows for Veil. So that was the last time, yeah.
It's forever ago, the before times.
Yeah. Well, so how's everyone out there doing? All right. What do we got? There's a bunch of people. We got like 40 people here now.
Yeah.
Hey, cool. Thank you for coming, guys.
Yeah. Someone's here from Sweden. Hello.
Hey. Wow. Well, we will do our best to make this worth your time.
Hey. Thank you, Code Stir. I love this show too.
Nice. Dude, I want to go to Alaska so bad.
Oh yeah, can we all go? Can we just go record an album there and just be cold for a while? That would be sick.
Hello from South Africa. Damn.
Nice.
Wow.
I wonder if we'll ever get to South Africa.
Germany. Got a couple from Germany. Nice. Colombia.
Do any bands like remotely our size ever get to play South Africa, or is that like only reserved for very, very large bands?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think
we should ask We should ask the person from South Africa.
Yeah. Whoever was. It's already missed. It's already passed in the chat. Any smaller bands ever come and play in South Africa?
Russia, Poland, up there in Vermont,
Russia, Poland, Greece,
Rhode Island,
West Virginia / hell, as they describe it.
Brazil, Tennessee, France.
I didn't know if you guys knew this, but we're basically just going to name all the places you're from, and then we're going to ask you guys questions, and then you're going to answer them, and we're going to sit here and just drink water.
David says
generally large bands. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, okay. So hopefully, or probably never play in South Africa, but who knows?
That's the optimist over there.
Yeah, you never know.
All right.
Well,
there are people who say modern Opeth. What do you think of that? Greetings from the Netherlands.
Starting off with a banger question here.
I think.
Well, it's not even the modern Opeth because Opeth is still alive and kicking.
Yeah, right.
Go listen to them.
Does every one of you have a comical water jug? But do you guys all have like water jugs?
Well, I've got this big.
There we go.
Oh, actually, I should probably get mine because I'm really dehydrated.
Dan usually has a comical water jug on him, so I figured that's why. But I didn't see your mason jar.
This is a cold brew coffee?
Yeah, I have coffee.
not a beer. It's
Coffee
1
time.
p.m.
I got my
Yeah.
sweater tag mug
sick.
going on.
Yeah, Dan's got one the size of his head.
Yeah, fuck you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the supremely comical water jug right there. What variety of guitars did you use on the album? You guys experiment with different tones, cabs? Well, actually,
we did actually quite a bit.
We're going to be releasing a studio vlog. Well, we released the first one a few days ago, and one of the next ones goes into a little bit more detail. We do some gear rundowns of.
Yeah, but we can also answer that question now.
Well, yeah, I was going.
We're not answering any
question. I just wanted to let them know if they want to see it, they can check out the studio vlog, which will be out in a couple of weeks. But yeah,
the Q&A stands for quesadillas and armadillos. I hope you guys knew that beforehand. I didn't know.
What? I totally missed. I missed whatever that was about.
Can I get a huh?
I used this baritone on the record. That was kind of new. We've never done a baritone guitar. It's a Gretsch. I doubled a lot of just riff stuff with it to make it just to add an extra bite and heaviness and girth to it. So that's a guitar that's on the record. I had that one handy just right here.
The main rhythm guitar tone is Evans Ibanez that he's been using forever, and then ran primarily through Bad Cat combo amp, and that doubled with the 6505, right?
Yeah, we did the main tone for my guitar was a blend. It was a blended tone because the Bad Cat was kind of an unexpected choice, but just for I do so many full open chord things, and it was good to have part of the tone at least be something that had a lot of clarity. That was the whole mentality. Is I wanted that full clarity of being able to play full 6-string chordal stuff, but then we layered it with the 6505 to give it more crunch and just so it's still a metal record. I don't remember. And then Joe did the leads, and Joe I think did he just use the Powerball, the ankle Powerball?
Yeah, that was the angle.
Yeah.
So Joe's setup was pretty standard. I think that his tone was kind of the same he had done before, but mine was messed with a little bit more. And then we layered some of that baritone guitar underneath certain heavier riffs.
Yeah,
so that kind of added a cool new layer.
Someone asked what is a baritone guitar. It's basically, I guess the best way to describe it is it's basically just a slightly longer guitar, and instead of being tuned like E to E, the strings are thicker and it's tuned B to B, so it's tuned a fourth lower than normal guitar. But what's cool about it is that you can, unlike a 7-string, you can actually play like regular chord voicings on it because it's a 6-string guitar, because the tuning is the same intervals as it would be on a standard guitar. It's just a fourth lower, so it actually allows for like kind of differing chord voicings. And then because it's such a longer scale length, you can actually detune it quite a bit. I think on the beginning of Woolgather, I doubled the baritone. It was tuned down to like drop G or something to like add like an extra distorted layer of guitar that was extra super low, almost hitting bass range. So there you go. I also
just want to say really quickly to everyone in the chat, there's like too many questions, so we're going to be missing a bunch. So I'm sure this is standard protocol for these sort of things, but we're going to do our best to catch as many questions as we can.
I'm gonna. Well, yeah, actually, who's kind of like moderating the question and stuff? I've got. The nice thing about this setup, as opposed to, I remember Facebook last time when we did this on it, we would always jump down the newest comments, so I had a tough time keeping up. This, I can actually kind of like hang on the spot and just kind of go down.
I've been kind of making notes of questions in a notepad, and I can put it in our private chat so that we can just kind of reference that every now and then.
Okay, cool.
If you want me to do that.
Well,
so I got a question here that says, any possibility of orchestral versions of your albums?
We'd love to do that. we've definitely talked about that a couple times. It's a daunting task, but it's a daunting task. It's a lot of work. It's particularly for Wayne. It's going to be it would be a lot of work, and it's always the question of if the time and effort can be put in. If we just have the time to do it. But I mean, Wayne, you can probably speak more to that.
I mean, I think we talked about it quite a bit when we were on tour, just kind of like what are the next things we can do. And I think we were talking about like, maybe choosing a bunch of our songs that could be put together nicely into like medleys of some kind, and maybe writing like kind of smashing together orchestral arrangements to make like not new music, but new arrangements of just orchestral things that go together.
It's tricky because like even though the music is highly orchestral, it's not all orchestral, obviously, and certain sections of songs lend themselves better than others. So you can't just kind of be like, okay, here's the song as is, like take away the band and then just release it because it would probably sound dumb. But you have to get clever and creative with ways to either fill in gaps and like reorchestrate certain parts in different ways, or like you said, like more of a medley situation, maybe where it's not necessarily the song like second for second. It's more of a compilation of the parts that work together and rethink how you arrange that. So I don't know. There'd be a lot of things we'd have to consider to make it actually happen and have it be a successful project. But it's definitely on the long list of potential things we might try to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be really cool to do. I think it'd be really awesome to have. I mean, I would like to hear it. It'd be neat to experience. So,
Strange Mouse says, question because I think someone told me, but I can't remember who did the art for your albums. So Epigone was by Kim Kiever.
Did it say albums, plural?
It does say albums. So I'm just going to go through the list. And Veil of Imagination was Adrian Cox. Sleep at the Edge of the Earth was actually a photograph that my sister, Elisa Mueller, took in Austria.
Yeah, we lucked upon that one. That was kind of a random find that worked really well.
And then the Olden Tales was Eric Campanella, Wayne's cousin.
Yeah, my cousin.
Yeah.
A couple in the family things going on there.
Yeah, we didn't have to pay them.
We're a bunch of cheapskates over here.
No, Eric offered when I asked Eric to do the cover for Olden Tales, he offered to do it as a Berkeley graduation present for us. So that was how he.
Right. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah. We were gonna pay him, and then he told us not to. So that's on him.
That was the beginning of the band. That we can use all the excuses for that.
Not a very big budget then.
Yeah, we don't pay anybody still now. I don't.
Yeah, it's true. Everyone has done everything for free. It's all
the checks in the mail, as they say.
Yeah, exactly.
Another,
Dan, someone asked about synth stuff. You should probably answer that. Something about
synth stuff. Answer.
I've done interviews like that.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful.
Well, I'm just trying to go down the list here. Make sure no one's questions are being missed and stuff. See what I can pick through.
Sure.
So I'll get there, and I look forward to it. We got one that's, is there any specific band you would like to see covering your music?
Covering
Buck Cherry.
Buck Cherry. Yeah.
Buck Cherry.
That would actually be very interesting.
That'd be really interesting, yeah. Buck Cherry do a wool gatherer cover. I've never thought. I don't know. I just kind of assumed no one would cover our music. No, but that's actually a really interesting question.
It is.
Like, I've literally never thought about that. A different band covering our music before. Like,
no, we've done this on tour. Aetherrealm covered one of our songs, and we covered one of their songs.
Oh,
well, that's true.
Right. Okay. So that is true. Aetherrealm has technically covered us. They played "How Stands the Glass Around," right?
Yep.
Played and we did the song on Wilderun 3.
Is he breaking up for you guys too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Bear with us, guys.
Is it terrible?
To hear you say my internet is terrible and have it be like just glitched out. That was great.
It sounds like the Matrix is eating you.
You are now in the Matrix, or you've left the Matrix.
I'll answer a question really quick. Someone asked, "Hey guys, I love your song Trident. Any chance of playing it live?" We want to make sure that that's clear that Trident actually isn't one of our songs. It was a Kickstarter reward where we offered for a certain level that we would do covers of a song that donator picked. And someone actually asked us to cover their original song that they had written. And that's what Trident ended up being, which is kind of an interesting challenge. They sent us like a demo of a thing they had written, and then we arranged it and did a cover of this person's original music. It was kind of interesting. So we probably won't play that live because it's not technically our song. So, but yeah.
Does that also apply for Seventh Son? I'm curious.
That if we would play that live, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm down.
I'm certainly happy with it. But I mean, there's also the question of like, would we want to like spend 10 minutes or however long that song is playing somebody else's music in our set?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
I feel like if anything, the Radiohead cover would have a better shot at making it, because it could finally like be something that would fit in 5 minutes.
That would be difficult.
We don't have a lot of those.
Yeah.
Dan, I found the synth question. Someone asked, I'm going to butcher the name, so I'm not going to say it, but Chris said, how did you guys manage to blend the synth electronic elements but still keep the folky acoustic guitar feel?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of the tougher challenges of taking full reign of synths on this record. I think for me was like, because inherently synths are gonna they're gonna do things that don't necessarily mesh with that kind of organic vibe. But I think what I found as I was going through, like the most interesting synth stuff was actually the stuff that was like pretty out of left field, but you apply those in spots where it's already like the intensity or the vibe is going somewhere weirder anyway, and you just push it further with that. Whereas like when it's something softer, and like when you have these quiet sections that have synths, I think I focused more on definitely like reverb helps, because it just kind of softens out all the hard edges and the high frequencies a lot. But it was just kind of a lot of playing with what already existed in the guitars or in Wayne's orchestrations. I just found ways to like kind of wring out new textures from what was already there by layering it with different sounds. And there's certain ones that just ended up kind of being more effective in that, and I would use those in a couple places. But for the most part, it was just kind of like piece by piece, every sound on the record and every part is just like a new thing that had to be crafted specifically for that moment. What other question?
Am I still like gone? Am I here, or am I?
You're kind of in and out.
You're good.
Okay.
And hey, if you guys want, I have the chat up too. I can be question moderator if you want me to do that. So there's just one designated person.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
We should have made a plan ahead. We're clearly new to this. We don't have a game plan.
Do it live.
Is there a way for you to hardwire into your modem?
No. You guys, I can see the little Wi-Fi thing. It's like on one bar right now.
Good God. Maybe you should hotspot it or something. I don't know how much.
Oh right, I could. I don't know. Can I? Like, hold on.
I mean, it might take us all.
I'll probably drop for a bit.
Well, you're hosting, so it might make us all like.
Make the whole.
Do we all sound like the Matrix?
No.
I don't know. You guys just.
Just talk really slow so we have a chance to get every single word.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't have that many interesting things to say, right? So you guys just. I have two Wi-Fi things now. Oh, now the little thing went away. I think that means it's okay right now.
Okay.
Is it seem okay right now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. As soon as I see it come back, I'll just stop talking. As soon as the little signal, I think I get how this works now. Okay. Next question.
All right. So, Evan, here's a good one for you. You can probably answer both these in the same question. So, someone asked about kind of what are the lyrics on Epigone kind of generally about, and also someone else, everything at Ryan's asked, was it a conscious decision to do more clean vocals on the album, or did it happen just kind of naturally? Those kind of go together. That's something you could answer.
I guess I'll go backward. Definitely was not a conscious decision to do more clean vocals. It's just how the songs turned out. Like I never go into songwriting being like, oh, this is going to be a really heavy growl song, or this is going to be a song with a lot of cleans. Like that's never a conscious thought. It's just you just write the song, and, you know, the structure, the melodies, everything, and then after, you know, I kind of will get like little vague ideas of vocals in my head while I'm writing. But oh, I got this signal again. Am I crapping out, or am I still good?
You're hanging in there.
Okay, I'll just like stop talking. Like we'll just come back to the question in 20 minutes. Anyways, yeah, that was not a conscious decision. That's just how the song was written, and it was just after the song was written, it just naturally turned out that way. Basically, is the most succinct way to put it. I won't try to get too deep into the lyrics. I don't want to get too deep into any topic here, but which is honestly, as time goes on, I have a harder and harder time talking too deeply about lyrics, because I swear every time I try to talk about lyrics and then I come back and I read what I said, or like I listen to what I said, I feel like it just a lot of times trivializes it, or I try to explain it and then I wish I hadn't said what I said. So I won't go too deep into lyrics, but just as a vague base overline, like it kind of sort of generally just has to do with, like I've said before, like it's sort of the most meta-analysis that I've done of my own creative pursuits, and just the desire to actually be creative, and like trying to kind of struggle internally with myself if that's even a thing worth doing. Like if it's even like a worthwhile pursuit to be creative at all. And you know, so that I don't know. That's all I'll say. That's a lot of what the lyrics are about. Yeah.
Cool. Someone in the comments section of Exhaler video said, "Well, that sucked. Your thoughts?" Agree. Moving on.
Thanks for your
input. Big disagree. Okay, anyway, Dan Swano had any involvement with Epigone? No, not on this record. We got Jens Bogren to mix it, but that doesn't mean we won't work with Dan in the future. It just we wanted to work with Bogren this time.
What was the question? I missed it.
The question was essentially, was Dan Swano involved in Epigone, and not this time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Question for John. What's the best method to learn how to play two bass drums really fast, like a rocket ship? That's not part of the question. I just added that. Zoom.
Strange now.
You know what's funny is, ironically, Evan's probably the better person to ask that than I am, because I rely heavily on a technique called heel toe, which is doubles, and it essentially, I started learning that when I was 16, and it essentially like leveled me up like way faster.
John, you might want to explain to people who don't know what this
is. Explain heel toe a little bit more.
Okay, yeah. All right.
The answer is this, guys.
Yeah. That's all you got to know. You just wave your hands like that.
So heel toe is what it sounds like. You play double strokes on your feet, and it's done with playing the first stroke with your heel, and then the second stroke with your toe. You know, these are feet, obviously, but so it's heel toe, and that essentially doubles your speed. So I learned how to do that when I was 16, and I learned how to do it pretty quickly, and that's basically what I've been doing since then. And you might want to ask another guy how to get fast on double bass. like this guy. Ask him.
Who, me?
Yeah, you can do singles faster than I can.
In years, so I'm sure. I used to play some drums back in the day, but I'm sure I've completely lost all that technique and stamina. So I don't think I'm probably good to ask about it. But I could never. But I would just do singles. I would never do doubles on the kick drum. But I could never get my solid, consistent BPM above like, I don't know, 160 or something. 165. Really? I mean, like consistently and solidly. Like if I wanted to go up to the upper, closer to 200, it was just in short bursts. I couldn't like.
We should get Blaze in the chat for like a second.
Yeah.
No, go take lessons from Blaze Collard at Berkeley.
Yeah, go take lessons from Blaze Collard. Yeah.
That's how you get fast with your feet.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Well, we can all answer this one, I suppose. What is your personal favorite song from Epigone?
Wool Gatherer.
Yeah, same for me. Wool Gatherer.
Yeah.
Same here. Yeah.
Damn.
Dang. All right, well, there you go.
Easy.
Let's never play it live.
Probably won't. Yeah.
Shout out to Joe. Someone said the solo on Wool Gatherer is sick. So way to go, Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
Because that's Joe playing that solo, and he kicks ass.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else we got here.
Oh, what was making the breathing noise on Ambition? So that was that entire track is made from a single sample of Evan reading a poem. So it's just his voice, and I ran it through that modular synth right there, and just did a bunch of takes of just processing it in different ways, and that's what that is. So that's
actually, actually, this is kind of a fun opportunity right here because we could give kind of a chat exclusive thing. Is that actually? So the poem is I couldn't actually write this in the liner notes or anywhere just because of copyright issues. But the poem is called Ambition by David White. So I would just, if anyone wants some poetry that's really good and relates heavily to the themes and lyrics of the record, just go read the poem Ambition by David White. And
and follow along.
I'm reading a comment saying, I was hoping to hear something like Ambition was made entirely out of Evan coughing.
Coughing. Yeah. That would be, I wish it was less.
We trapped him in a box, and unless he had the ambition to get out, he was going to be stuck there for the rest of forever.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people saying, "Are you coming to Germany? Are you coming to Holland?" Everyone is, I'm sure, is fully aware of the logistical nightmare that is us going to Europe to play shows, but it is 100% on our, our to-do list to do shows.
John, what are you pointing at?
I'm saying that guy will probably go to Germany before the rest of us will, but.
Thank goodness Dan is in the same spot on my screen. Otherwise, that would have made no sense.
Yeah. Just for context, for those who don't know, Dan is extended family is from Germany, so Dan goes to Germany a lot.
Yeah,
that's why. Yeah, but
I'm gonna be back there at some point this year for a little bit. But
it's a little different for being a band and going there. We've had over the pandemic, we had 2 European tours canceled on us, so we were gonna get there, and then obviously that didn't happen. So it's literally probably our top priority in terms of things we want to do that we're trying to do. So
man, you should have just set up like a coffee shop show. It's just you.
Maybe we should do an acoustic. Maybe if we did an acoustic run in Europe for the first time, that would be easier. I don't know.
Just Dan.
Just Dan. Yeah, Dan can just play bass and yell.
Bass.
Yeah, it's a bass chord.
Just play his bass chords.
Whole notes. Yes, I do speak German. not like the best, but fluently enough for like when I was in school age, I could like communicate well enough. But as soon as you start asking me about like government stuff or anything like adult related, I'm like, I don't know.
He knows enough to talk about us behind our backs. I just assume anytime Dan's speaking German that he's just talking shit about him. I just immediate. That's what I have my immediate first. Yeah.
Or trading vulgarities with the drummer from Swallow the Sun on tour.
There's a lot of fun.
That's a fun story. We're not going to tell you.
Nope. You guys make up your own, choose your own adventure. Someone asked, how do you keep the guitar tone crunchy but at the same time clear enough to hear the whole chords? This is, I'll answer this. This is kind of the challenge when making our albums always is, how do you hear everything? Because we always decide to put way too much into our music. And on this record in particular, there were a lot more times than on other records where we decided to actually turn the rhythm guitars down quite a bit in favor of hearing other things like orchestra or synth or whatever else. But one thing we attempted to do, I'll let you be the judge of how successful that was, is that using like the amps we talked about before, using the Bad Cat through some certain pedals and only layering in the heavier high gain amp like a 6505 for certain sections. The Bad Cat's more of a low gain amp, and we designed a tone that was not, the lower gain you go, just in general, the clearer all the notes can be, without getting too technical about it. So a lot of all the chordal strumming stuff was done through the Bad Cat on a much lower gain setting, with some compression going into the amp to try to squeeze all of the notes together dynamically to be a similar volume. It's something we had never done on other records, because everything had always just gone straight through a high gain amp before. So I'm glad that someone can hear the chords, because that was a challenge for us when mixing it.
I was gonna say, like in the mixing phase, there were a few parts that we turned it down so much. I was like, I just shouldn't have played this. Like there are a few parts where I was like, I spent an hour tracking like this single part, and we can't hear it at all. And we're like, let's turn the orchestra up to 12. Like, cool. How about I just leave? But no, it all worked. I mean, that's how we work though. A lot. I mean, we've always done, just kind of do a lot and we dial it back and just try to, obviously we're just kind of a kitchen sink sort of band, and then we just, during the mixing process, just try to take things back and make careful choices like that.
Yeah, it's like, once you get to the mixing stage, it becomes more apparent like what the main focus should be in any particular section, and you don't actually have that mindset too much when you're recording. It's easier to step back once you've listened to what you've recorded, and so. Evan, someone asks, do you have any tips for vocalists trying to do the clean growls, screams? He says you're the one of the few that pulls it off really well, so you must have some solid exercises.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know. I don't have that much formal training. I took maybe 3 months of 3 or 4 months total of vocal exercise, training at some coaching at some point, almost a decade ago, and that's literally all I've had. But it was enough to just keep me some basics that I think anyone should know, is just breathing, just knowing how to breathe properly, and that's kind of everything.
You said the word breathing and it went breathing.
Okay. Just tell me again if it's just if it's totally not audible, if it's just, then we'll just cut out.
But that's the thing. It just glitched for a second. Now you're back. So it's there was no real way to catch that. And you're really clear. You're actually way more clear, than it happened.
Sorry, everyone. Yeah, this internet where I live is really frustrating. Anyway, I gotta make my answers quicker. I just gotta get the answer in really quick.
Just write it down.
I'm kind of going through a thought process as I'm talking. I would just say basic normal singing breathing exercises and technique is absolutely worthwhile. Just focus on normal singing stuff, and then make sure you just warm up every single time you do anything. I would try to warm up for at least 15 to 20 minutes before I do any vocals of any sort. I usually end up singing a couple songs that are just clean vocals before I even go into a growling song. Just really, just really focus on that, get everything warmed up. Because I don't know. But in terms of the actual growling technique, I don't know. It's always been really hard to explain. I kind of started with more black metal vocals when I first started it, for a year or something. I was kind of just doing the high pitched black metal thing, and then at some point I realized I could just take that exact same sound and make it lower. But
I remember the olden demos. Yeah, they were way higher.
Yeah, the original Wilderun demos from a couple years before we made our first record. Yeah, it's a lot less death metal-y. It's more kind of mid high.
Yeah.
So it took, but you can start there and then kind of work your way lower. I guess it all just kind of depends on the range of your voice generally, maybe, if you can go low with the growls. I don't know exactly how that works, but anyways, quick advice is just focus on normal breathing support techniques for singing, regardless of growling.
We have people in the chat screaming at each other in German, I'm assuming.
Hey.
Die willen, dass ich Deutsch spreche. Das ist warum. Ja, bitte nur jetzt. Ich komme aus Bayern, so alles, was ich sage, ist sehr, sehr bayerisch immer.
Well, this took a turn.
He's talking shit about us. I know he is.
We have a question. We could probably just rattle off some of these pretty quick, because this is you could get in the weeds with this question pretty easily. But what got you into writing prog epic metal? Proggy folk epic metal. Who do you consider your main influences? We could just say some. I mean, I've obviously got we're all going to have very similar influences. We all very much come from a prog background.
Well, I think, although I would say that, I mean, yeah, some of the prog metal stuff is similar, but then like the outer influence, beyond that, we start having a lot of different influences, even though
That's true.
Certainly,
that's where it branches off. Yeah.
It branches off a lot when you get to other genres, I think. But
yeah, that's true. I mean,
we've
all got
prog and stuff. It's some similarities.
It's pretty standard. I mean, we all grew up listening to Dream Theater, and I don't want to name the band that will not be named.
Too late. It's already been
one of the albums.
Voldemort from now.
Yeah, one of the albums I always like to reference that I think maybe the album that got me into weird metal, like just metal that goes outside the norm, is the Sham Mirrors by Arcturus. That album,
Nice.
like when I first heard that record, I really had no idea that you could do metal in those sort of that sonicscape. Like, it was just so bizarre and cool. So I always credit that record for turning a new leaf for me mentally in terms of the metal, because I honestly, like, I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this. When I first heard like the classic metal bands when I was like early high school and stuff, I kind of thought it was lame. When I first heard, like, I don't know, like I like
all our fans are now.
I don't know, like when I heard I like kind of like Metallica and Maiden stuff, but I don't know, it didn't really hit me too hard. I listened to more just like experimental music, indie music, but that record, the Sham Mirrors, was kind of like, I was like, oh, like metal you can do this, you can get out there, you can sort of, I don't know. So that I always try to credit that record when I remember it.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, it's fun to learn new stuff about it.
It's always weird. It's like I feel like it's weird that like you guys know.
What?
I've literally talked for hours, hundreds of hours, and I forget to mention these things.
There's stuff you don't know about me, and I'm never saying it.
Yeah, that's right.
To the grave.
Unless someone asked in the chat, then I got no shame.
Yeah, that's right.
I
I don't know. Anything else for you guys?
I don't know. I listen to a lot of bluegrass music outside of metal stuff. I mean, I really love Americana and just bluegrass music, and that definitely plays into our folky stuff that we tend to write. And I listen to. I know Evan also. Well, I think probably maybe all of us. We all listen to a hefty amount of cinematic, like, film score type music too. So there's a good widespread variety of things we all listen to. It's not just metal all the time. Does anyone else want to add anything?
I like jazz.
Electronic music, hip hop. That probably takes up about 50% of what I listen to.
Yeah, same. No, well, not so much electronic music, but yeah.
Someone asked, what did Swano do on Veil? He mixed the record, and he did a great job. And we mixed the record with him for like 5 years, and he was very patient.
We always require a good amount of patience from our mixing and mastering engineers. We're a little too picky.
We owe Dan Swano many beers.
Yeah, no, he was great though. He was awesome to work with. He was super nice dude. Really, just it was really fun and a good time working with him.
Mm-hmm. Evan, what does Wool Gatherer mean in the context of the record? Like,
a wool gatherer is sort of like just a term that it means like a daydreamer of sorts, like kind of head in the clouds, sort of idealistic sort of view of life. I don't know. It's somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. My wife asked, will Wilderun drop some custom Crocs? Yes.
Oh yeah, baby!
I will never wear them,
dude. Next merch item, man. Yes.
I wear
100%.
Crocs all the time.
Yeah, let us know in the chat if you would wear the Wilderun.
Yes, we have to at least at least make like a Wilderun like little charm for the Crocs or whatever those things are called.
Yeah, Croc jewelry. Yeah,
Croc jewelry. Man,
I've
that's
got a
that's
Velociraptor
real
one.
close to something else.
Can we make both?
That's what I thought you
We
said.
can make that too.
We would probably sell more of the other type of jewelry.
Yeah, we got a bunch of merch ideas.
None of them good.
Joshua Gray asks, which of you would win in a fight? Are you asking about which of us would win if we fought each other? Because I'm sorry to say, but I would probably kill everybody.
Wayne,
If the three of us fought Wayne, we would all lose.
Wayne would still win. Yeah.
I don't want to fight them, but I'm pretty sure I would win just from the sheer mass of my person.
Yep, easy.
What else is on here? Thank you
Are
guys
you,
for just coming and like being involved. It's really cool. That
Are you
everyone...
following the? Sorry.
What?
Are you following the questions in the private chat, or are you just going because like they're kind of in order in the private chat? I've been copying and pasting.
Oh, well, that's very helpful.
Yeah, like look at all those questions. There's too many.
I've been just.
You're on your
through the
iPad.
comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we miss anything, sorry. It's kind of a lot. There's a high volume.
Yeah, that's true. But thank you for being involved anyway. I really appreciate that people care. Have you guys tried to get on a tour with BT Bam? It'd be a great matchup. I mean, they're a great band. It's really that kind of stuff. Any sort of like, would you tour with this band is really up to our management and our booking at this point, because they have all the connections to put us together with tours. So it's really kind of luck of the draw, I suppose, when it comes to that kind of a thing. We're not opposed to touring with them.
Yeah, there's not too many tours I can imagine that we wouldn't do. I mean, as long as like the bill makes sense,
including Buck Cherry.
Yeah, especially Buck Cherry.
That's absolutely bowling alleys only, guys.
BT Band, Buck Cherry. Oh yeah, BT Band would be great though. They're great. They're a great live band. They're one of those bands that I remember just being particularly blown away with how good live. I've only seen them once. It was a while ago, but their live show was just insanely tight. So that'd be great to play with them.
I saw them around the Colors era on Prog Nation 08, and that was the first time I saw Dream Theater and Voldemort. That was great.
Yeah,
Voldemort. Someone asks, this year marks 10 years since your Pagan Fest debut and the release of Olden. How do you feel looking back, on that decade?
I think I know who asked that. There's somebody that was there at that show.
Oh,
Dang.
cool.
Thanks for
yeah,
coming.
That's wild. Yeah, I guess that would be like May. I think so. This upcoming May will be the 10th anniversary of our first show.
I'm gonna Google.
No, that wasn't in February or something.
Was it really?
I remember it being like cold.
Coming up soon. That's wild.
Because wasn't it like Tursok was like stuck somewhere because of the weather or something?
No, that was the show
second
with
one.
Moon Sorrow and Firewind.
Was that
Right, yeah.
That was our
2012?
Olden release show.
Yeah.
Was that 2012? Yeah. No.
2012, yeah. It's interesting because I feel like I always try to think about like what our technical like 10-year anniversary is. For me, it always just feels like the release of Olden Tales because everything. I don't know. I mean, obviously we were doing stuff a little before then, but like everything leading up to the actual release of Olden Tales felt like kind of. I don't know if we were like totally certain we were going to keep the band going or like, we didn't really have as strong of a plan. Remember that? Like we were sort of like, hey, like I got these songs, let's make a record. Let's just see what happens. Like, I just want to make this one record and we'll just play it by ear from there. But then once the album came out, it felt a little bit more like, hey, this is really cool. Let's see if we can keep doing it.
I remember working in the studios at Berkeley and getting a text from John being like, hey, do you want to play in a folk metal band and open up for Church Us. So it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. That sounds cool.
That was
And I feel like, you know, I just learned like the songs that we were doing at that show. And then like you guys, I think we're going to like record the album, and just like one of you was going to just play bass or something. And I think I said like, well, why don't I can do that. I already know like half the songs. Let me learn the rest of them. Yeah, it was like, I think when we went into the studio, like there was no like preconceived notions of like, oh, we're a band and this is the lineup or anything.
Oh,
Like then when we left the studio after the album was recorded, then like we were just all like kind of unspoken agreement, like, yeah, this all works. Like we're gonna keep doing this.
There it is.
Oh, March 30th. Oh,
March, wow, you actually
I forgot that Averse was on that. Hey,
you're right. Yeah, Verse was on there too.
Oh
Wait.
shit!
Averse.
Ailstorm played that show?
Yeah, yeah, I do remember
remember
that. Too.
That's cool. I forgot that Averse was on our very first show.
Yeah, that was so freaking long ago.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was really fun though. That was the only show that we ever did war paint. We did the,
Yeah, that's right.
it wasn't like it was just some like, yeah, and then we did it once and then we were like, eh. I think we just, I don't know why, but I think we just suddenly realized that that's not our, that wasn't
It was
our
like
vibe.
far too much work to like worry about. Oh, is the paint on my face good?
Yeah. Still, a really fun gig. I was so nervous. Jesus Christ, that was the most nervous I've probably ever been for a show. But anyways, I think that I still kind of think of our true anniversary as like September because of the release of Olden Tales. So, anyways, it's wild to think it's been a decade though. It feels like it went by quick, but also not. I don't know. Like it's because a lot of things have changed, but time just also goes by quickly. So.
Would we even fit on a Pagan Fest anymore?
I don't know. I play it.
I mean, yeah. Well,
I don't think I do that anymore.
No, they don't. But like our style, you think we would even qualify?
Who knows? I don't know.
Well, I'll go to another question now. Someone says, given that you've got signed to Century Media, congrats, thank you. Can we expect more new albums sooner? Let's. The album making process is different for every record. Now that we're on a record label, there's more of like a time, like a sort of like a set timeline that we kind of have to do things in. So we probably won't be doing another like 5 years between a record or whatever. But I think I don't know. I don't want to quote an amount of time because it'll probably end up being wrong. But
it's too hard to say. Yeah.
You can expect more consistent releases, I think, in shorter periods of time than we have in the past.
I see there's two things here that I want to address. One, Evan, I'm guessing this applies to you. It's from Emily. It says, "Hi, can you unlock the deadbolt?"
Now that he's gone.
Hear her laughing in the background. Looks like we got some Either boys in the chat now too. What's up?
Yeah, Heinrich says, "What kind of naughty boys you got back there?" I guess I can give a little quick. I'm not gonna carry my iMac around like a lunatic, but
do it.
But that's
Jinx.
That's my modular right there, which is primarily based around the Make Noise Morphogene, which is a granular sampler / like tape loop kind of guy. Then the Make Noise QPOS and Mimeophone filter and just general time effects module. Then I recently got the Mutable Instruments Platts module, which is like a physical modeling kind of based oscillator thing, and then there's a bunch of other just kind of like more function stuff. But that's kind of like the hub of all that modular stuff. And then not to neglect the Korg MS-20 Mini, the Dave Smith Mofo, the TR-8 from Roland, and just APC. So that's my synth setup. And then you can't see it, but right in front of me I have my Prophet Rev 2, which is kind of my main poly synth.
Just take your laptop, just like oh yeah. I got Ryan Mascar says, "Yo, what's up, Ryan?" Ryan helped us out with the Seventh Son cover. He recorded our drums, and also the live playthroughs of Suncatcher and what was it? Oh, Garden of Fire.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
We had on YouTube. Oh, also, what's up, Nick? How you doing?
Oh, that was hilarious. All right,
that was the best thing that ever could happen.
That was so funny. I can't believe I locked it. I locked the deadbolt. Anyways, crisis averted. How you guys doing?
Well, I'm all good now that Gerard's in the chat. Gerard's here, so we're
Hey, hi, Dad.
good.
I have a family member in the chat. Hi, Harley. How are you? We generally whoever runs our lights at the show is just whoever's running lights at the venue. We don't bring a lighting guy, but he's asking if he can help run our lights for us when we come to Iowa. He actually runs like a DJ business where he builds his own lighting rig and stuff, and he's pretty epic lighting setup. So yeah, if we ever play a show in Iowa, I don't see why not.
I also have a cousin in the chat. Hey James, how's it going?
The female guest vocalist on Epigone is my wife, Katie, who is also a phenomenal artist and recently did a shirt for us too, the passenger shirt, which we had on our last tour, and I think is going to go up on our shops at some point soon.
Yeah, definitely check out her Instagram.
Katie Mueller Art.
Yeah, really good stuff. But yeah, she did a great job on the record. It was kind of I don't remember what made us decide to have her vocals on the record ultimately, but we're really happy with how it turned out. It's kind of like it's a little bit more of like a subtle kind of texture that just kind of flows through the background of the record. But we're really happy with how that turned out. She got a great voice. So yeah.
I think it was that trade-off line in Passenger that we were thinking like, oh, it would be cool to have a guest vocalist or a female vocalist there, and then Katie came up, and then we kind of just like demoed that out real quick, and we're like, oh, that sounds really good. Where else can we use this on the record? And just sprinkled it in from there.
I think just something about this material, just because I kind of wrote this material differently, just from a songwriting standpoint. Just the choice of chords and melody and stuff. There's something about it that just the female voice texturally just kind of gels. I couldn't really imagine it on any of the other three records. I feel like the general. I don't think the aesthetic would have worked, but with this record, with the type of chords and stuff we were using, it just kind of aesthetically made sense. So
we could go back to.
I'm just kind of going.
Yeah, someone asked what this
trying
private
to
chat
make
was.
sense of all the.
Someone asked what this private chat was. It's a private chat that we have, the four of us on the side.
So John's just grabbing questions from all the comments, helping organize them in our private chat.
And we're sending nudes back and forth too. So.
We're still really fast at it.
Yeah, just really quick. I know what the answer to this is, but I think someone else should answer it, and I think John should because this affected him greatly on the last tour. Who so when touring, who's the best cuddle buddy when having to bunk together?
That's exactly why I chose that question and put it in the private chat. This guy, he's the best cuddle buddy, especially if you're too hot and you don't want blankets. So good.
I'm a good cuddle buddy in the summer because you'll never have a blanket. You'll be cool.
No, in the summer it's gonna be the other way. Wayne's just gonna have extra blankets thrown on you.
I'm apparently a blanket stealer, and I already kind of knew this because of my wife, but I didn't know that it affected others.
I'm sure Caitlin's glad it's not just targeted at her.
Yeah, I don't have some personal vendetta against my wife.
You could just keep the ruse going, though. I mean, you could just keep saying, "I have no idea," But for all I know, just years you've been using this as a ruse to just get all the blankets.
When Wayne's awake, he's the most generous, nice dude you'll ever meet. But when he's asleep, he's an asshole.
My unconscious self is a big dick bag.
It's like your subconscious. It's because you're too nice in waking life, and your psyche needs to calibrate somehow. You're too nice and generous of a person in your everyday life. There's this little dickhead side in the back of your head. It's dude, just do something mean. Come on, just do something mean and selfish for once in your life. So it takes it out. It gets it out in the sleeping state.
God forbid he starts sleepwalking.
That's the new theory.
Mean Wayne's
some sort of equilibrium thing my brain has to do.
Exactly.
All right. Oh, this chat is getting. I can hardly read a lot of these questions. The private chat look weird for you guys. They're all overlaid on top of each other.
No.
Nope.
Oh, well, sucks for me.
All right. Are you having a stroke?
Someone asks, I hear a lot of film music in your stuff. What are some of your favorite movie soundtracks? Who would like to answer that first?
Favorite movie
that was for you.
Well, I mean, we all have favorites, right?
I like the melodica rendition of Jurassic Park.
That's my favorite too.
Yeah.
I mean, some of my favorites are Back to the Future, E.T. I think E.T. is probably one of my. It may be my favorite, honestly. E.T. I think is one of the most excellently written scores. It just melodically, I think it's just so beautiful. I get chills every time I hear it, even now. Jurassic Park, that's my favorite movie of all time. Because dinosaurs are sick.
Dinosaurs. Yeah.
Dinosaurs are dinosaurs. I basically enjoy anything written by John Williams or Alan Silvestri or Thomas Newman. Honestly, those are probably my top three biggest influences as far as film music goes. Growing up, anyway. There's a lot of other great music out there. Just foundationally, those guys were the largest set of my influences come from.
Johnny Greenwood's soundtrack for There Will Be Blood is pretty incredible. I mean, that's probably a
stands out to
typical
me.
Music nerd answer to that question right there, but it's true. it's so good. I remember that was a particularly striking soundtrack. It was unconventional in the way that it overlaid with the visuals too. I love the way that there would be a lot of scene cuts, camera cuts, but he did this thing where the soundtrack would go over the scene cuts in almost awkward ways. That I don't know. That always really stood out to me. It's an incredible soundtrack.
The Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's score to both The Social Network and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo are probably some of my favorites. Like I don't listen to a lot of just like soundtrack albums, but those are two that I come back to a lot.
My serious answer would be the South Park rendition of the Game of Thrones theme song.
That's a serious answer.
Serious answers only.
I would have to say I'm more like I connect more emotionally with video game soundtracks. So obviously Skyrim and Assassin's Creed 2. I really freaking love that soundtrack. And then also Warcraft 2 was my go-to throughout the years, and StarCraft obviously.
I would say too for game soundtracks, Silent Hill 2 soundtrack is incredible. It's that one all the time.
Oh, that's a good question.
John, every time you put a chat or a question in my private chat, all the questions don't like. I'm not scrolling; they just all go like smaller and mesh together, and I can't read any of them anymore.
Dan, maybe you should take over reading the questions.
Yeah,
you're actually on a laptop.
Yeah.
You don't mind. Somehow it's like reached the limit of what it can put into one screen, and I can't read them anymore.
Will this album be on Bandcamp eventually? Probably not, unless Central Media and Bandcamp were to strike some kind of a deal, which my understanding seems unlikely. Unfortunately, I'm personally a big fan of Bandcamp, and if I can get music off of there, that's my preferred place to do so. So, the unfortunate reality of that. How did Ash Memory come into existence? / how did you get the idea for the song? And did it take a long time to write? It seems to flow so perfectly. Thanks so much for that masterpiece.
Yeah, well, thank you. Glad you like it so much. There was one song. I mean, it was written as one song. It was kind of anytime we've broken up a song, it's usually written as one song. But yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to explain exactly what it is, what it is beyond just kind of normal. I write all my songs pretty linearly, like from front to back, and sometimes just based on how it starts, it just keeps going. And it's not really a choice. It's not like you go into it being like, okay, this is going to be 20 minutes long. You just kind of start from the top, and then you just see where it leads. And sometimes it naturally cuts at 6 minutes or something, and that one just didn't. That one just naturally. It's probably something to do with the tempo and the note choices early on. Just if you just keep linearly writing, and the song kind of naturally tells you if it wants to stop or keep going. So that one just kept on going. But yeah, I don't know. It was one of the only songs that kept going for that long. But I don't know. That's probably not a great explanation, but there you go.
Does Evan still make 1 BPM tempo changes between songs? Yeah.
Was that Jake?
Yeah, that's Jake.
Thanks, man.
Jake, I appreciate the consistency in your band's songs. That was a real nice change of pace.
It matters. Okay. It makes a difference.
You just want us to not be able to copy and paste a riff from one section to the other.
That's also true.
Yeah.
I don't know, but to be fair, in all honesty, there's sometimes where if you go into go from a soft place to a heavier riff or something, and you just up the BPM by 2 or 3, it's not something that you're going to notice and you're going to get out of the groove, but you're just going to feel that energy just kind of pull you a little harder. And it's something that you would do naturally if you weren't playing with a click. I think for me, that's why I end up doing minute shit like that, is because it's something you would just naturally do live, but this kind of puts it in, and to me, sometimes staying at the same tempo for those sections, that feels weird to me. That feels like unnatural. So that's why I do that.
We got some.
Hey, and a lot of people are just kind of. I've seen a lot of questions just kind of generally asking us about like our songwriting, composing process and stuff, and that's obviously like a topic that we could talk about for like hours and hours and hours. But just to answer all of those questions, we have collectively been talking about like at some point in the future, probably making like maybe like a little video series where like each of us kind of talk about like a part of the process of a song or something like that. We've been kind of trying to throw ideas around about that. So in the future, we will probably do some sort of deep dive into a song of some kind and talk about the orchestration and the songwriting and the lyric writing and John's drum parts and, you know, like all that stuff. Because we don't have the hours and hours to do that here, but at some point I think that's something that we're gonna to do. So look forward to that. That'll be much more useful than us trying to give a abridged version of that here.
Just to remind you, like that private chat goes way up, so we don't want to skip a lot of the older questions.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I got one here that's newer, and then I'll jump back to the older ones. How has it been for you guys losing one core member? Any different songwriting process to cope with that change?
We miss Joe a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's logistically and musically. I mean, Joe was certainly, you know, lead guitarist, and that his main contribution was just pretty much just solely guitar based. So not too much has changed foundationally. It's honestly, but he definitely just brought a certain energy to, you know, with his playing that I think influenced, you know, the overall sound of the record, and we certainly miss that. We will miss that because we haven't made a new record without him yet. Because like we said this a couple times, and just to reiterate, Joe absolutely played all the leads on Epigone, even though he's not technically in the band anymore now. But he is the lead player for all guitar leads on Epigone, and he did a great job, and we'll definitely miss him. But you know, we're all still great friends with him.
We have made an album with this lineup, though. So
just the first one, Olden Tales and Deathly Trails was the four of us, and then 3 records with Joe. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. I doubt that the next record will therefore sound like Olden Tales. I highly doubt that, but
let's see. Did you ever talk about playing live with an orchestra someday? We've certainly talked about it. Whether that's going to happen is kind of just, I think, more of a question of logistics and
and money.
And money.
It's like $1 million. I don't know if people. Okay, a lot of metal fans have seen live videos where a band plays with an orchestra, but I do a lot of film and TV work, and I have learned through the years how expensive an orchestra is, and I just want to say that it is a dream come true if you get to do anything with an orchestra. And the reason that is a dream come true is because it easily costs anywhere between $100,000 to $250,000 to hire an orchestra to play your stuff. Like, if you want to do any length of time, and you want to get like high dollar, killer union players and stuff. It is extraordinarily expensive. There are ways around it. There are some European orchestras that rent themselves out and they're non-union, and it's cheaper. A lot of film and game soundtracks do that because you don't have to pay the American union rates. But it's extraordinarily expensive, and then it takes a shitload of rehearsing too. Everyone needs headphones. Everyone needs to follow the same click track. Everybody, it's the logistics of it are really it's a lot. It would be one of those things where if we ever did get the chance to do it, I think it would be some sort of like one-off, festival kind of show that would happen like one time where we would only have to prepare for that one thing. It certainly wouldn't be a tour because we don't have $13 million to cart a whole orchestra around. Anyway, just as like a little bit of context there, it is so cost prohibitive to do it, albeit if we ever do get to do it, it'll probably be one of the most rewarding things that we'd ever get to do, because there is literally nothing like hearing your music that you wrote played by a live orchestra. There's like this tangible emotional connection to the music that happens. And I've only gotten experience it a couple times working on a couple of film scores. And that's like the last bucket list for me musically. It's like, I'm done. I can quit then. Because it's just, it's so incredible to hear an orchestra play your stuff. But we'll have to see if we can ever afford that. Maybe Century Media will let us at some point. Who knows? Sorry, I didn't mean to jump all over that question. I just like, I know why we can't do that.
Yeah, that is all true.
I guess it depends on how many people, like the people that chat, we can gain. The more fans we get, the more things get rolling.
Yeah.
Or if we can just have like one person buy like a lot of records.
Yeah.
Who wants to buy 600 million records?
we have one guy who is getting pretty close to that.
Just keep on hitting add to cart until the button turns gray.
No. Now we need to start the OnlyFans, because that's the only way we're going to be able to afford it.
Only dance.
Only
what is each member's favorite band / influences? Well, I guess I'll start since it's real quiet. I'd say for me, like Death Grips and Skinny Puppy definitely come to mind as like two bands that have been like most influential for me in the last like 10 years.
Clearly, in terms of the Wilderun sound.
Yeah, I know. So you can really tell where we get our sound from. But honestly, even with those bands, there is a lot of like emotional crossover that just gets represented in different ways. Because in the end, I always just think of like music as being just a sonic expression of some sort of personal or human feeling. So it's like all sound is game, and that's kind of why Wilderun sounds the way it does. And it's certainly, I think, once everyone starts spitting out some of their influences, you'll see it's a real mixed bag. As far as like metal bands go, because I know like some people are probably looking for that. Dimmu Borgir is a big one for me. That was definitely, and then like Dream Theater was probably like the band that like made me play bass in the first place, really.
My favorite band, I feel like it's always got to be just like a current thing. It's always, as opposed to like through the years. So currently, I've said this a few times, so it's probably old news, but I think 6, 7 years ago, I heard the Cardiacs for the first time, and I was just like, that's it. That's for me in terms of just pure songwriting, just ability and originality. As soon as I heard Cardiacs, I was just kind of like, that's been probably my favorite band for the last few years. Yeah, but it's kind of just depends on the day too. Kind of like I don't like it's kind of that thing like gun to head. I guess I'd say right now it's Cardiacs, but it kind of just depends on what mood I'm in a given day.
If we're going clockwise, I started playing drums because I heard "Acid Rain" by Liquid Tension Experiment. Well, that's the first song I tried to learn how to play. But anyways, Dream Theater, Opeth is of course a big influence. Currently, I I don't know. My favorite is like Fintroll and Tigger Namazian, which I could never even come close to playing that shit. So, yeah.
I guess we're just talking about foundational. If we're talking about foundational music influences, I mean, like Evan said about Cardiacs, that was Dream Theater for me. When I heard Scenes from a Memory for the first time, I was like, "What the fuck? I didn't know you could make this," and that blew my mind. And so that I had been playing guitar for only a few years, just like playing like classic rock stuff and learning that, like the things everyone learns when you first start playing guitar, the AC/DC and Led Zeppelin tunes. And then I heard Dream Theater. I was like, wait a second. And that was a huge monumental shift for me. And as far as like guitar playing and like band related music. I think that opened up the door for a lot of things for me. That foundationally changed how I thought about music in general. And then after that, I started listening to more like the extreme metal stuff, if you want to call it that, and then listening to Nightwish and Dimmu Borgir for the first time. That was like, oh, you can play orchestra on metal? Oh, that's sick, because I love film music. So that's like my two favorite things. I should try to make that. So I started making a lot of that early on before college. And so then that joined those two efforts. That's basically it for me.
Got a question here. It says, what shows on the most recent tour gave Wilderun the best crowd response? For me personally, I always think back to the Denver show. Was really special for me.
Denver show.
You stood on the box with that one.
I did. And then it wobbled real quick, and I was like, I'm not standing on the box again.
Wasn't Lincoln... Like, Lincoln was a really small, like, thrown together show because Casey Mo was canceled, but that crowd was pretty rowdy, if I remember.
That's the first legit moshing we got. It was in that tiny little bar in Lincoln. The first, like, actual, I think that was the first legit moshing we saw, even though there were, like, a bunch of bigger, better shows.
They were just.
I guess they kind of just the attitude of the bar.
They were just still jazzed from the Gwar show across the street.
Across the street.
Shout out to anybody who came over from the Gwar show.
I would say Denver, but that was the first night of 2 or 3 that I started getting sick. So that was kind of that was one of those frustrating nights. It was just like a bad cold, but that was one of those really frustrating nights where it was such a good show, and I couldn't really appreciate it because I just felt like hell. But I mean, Austin was great.
Austin.
Both last times you played Austin, it's like always awesome there. Atlanta was really good.
Austin was especially good because that was like the first show of the tour that we really feel like we started getting in a groove, and it just kind of things worked on a technical level. So
yeah, everything clicked for that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just gonna say. It felt that was like the first show where it was like, oh, we're on tour. Okay, cool. We can do this.
Yeah.
Some other people in the chat were asking about like the Dallas show, and I was like, yeah, we played the Dallas show the night before, which was wrought with technical issues, and then the Austin show was like no issues. So it was like, oh, all right, cool. It's not all gonna be a grind the whole time.
Yeah, Dallas was the roughest. Dallas was the roughest show.
Yeah.
In recent memory, generally.
The Austin show could have just been okay, and we would have been like, yes.
Yeah.
No shit.
Just a quick one. Jake said, Evan, how mad were you when I was drunkenly pretending to punch you in front of Martin Mendez? It was Martin Lopez, and that ties into another question of have we ever met any members of Opeth? Technically, no. Previous members of Opeth, yes. And that I like nearly shat my pants because it was Martin Lopez.
Yeah, we got to hang. We chatted a bit with Martin Lopez on 70,000 Tons of Metal, which is great. He's a really awesome guy, really down to earth and cool to talk to. So that was really fun.
He told me,
someone was playing that, which they put on a great show.
He told me he heard his influence in my playing, and I almost passed out. Which means because he had listened.
Yeah, I forgot about Jake. Coming in and interrupting our nice, calm conversation with his Jake brand of chaos. I honestly, I think I just shoved that part out of my head.
I remember Jake looking at me like he knew that I was having a moment, and I was.
Got another one. Says, you guys like craft beer? Any favorite breweries or beers?
We do.
What's beer?
We know. We definitely do not hide that.
This is my favorite brewery right here.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, there's so much. I
live like 40 minutes from Treehouse, so that's like if I'm gonna spend some money on beer, that's where I go.
Yeah, Treehouse was. Yeah, that was. I felt like that was. I think Treehouse Brewing is like the Veil of Imagination brewery because I feel like we discovered them right when we were like starting to make all that record and like prep and do some stuff beforehand. And then I remember in the studio for I think driving on the way to the studio for Veil, we just got like 2 cases or whatever.
And it's become a tradition since.
Yeah, we did that a second time. That's true. So Treehouse feels like now it almost feels nostalgic to Wilderun now. So
I think
just like in terms of that style, the hazy IPA stuff, they're still just the best. I mean, so many breweries have tried to do that style nowadays, and so many of them fail. But they're still, they're still. I live in Southern California now, and I guess the producers around there, the beer producers that kind of do that style, are Monkish is great. Green Chic is they're kind of, I think I'm getting that name right. They're kind of a brewery I only found out about recently, but they're really great. I don't know, but that's just for IPAs. We like a bunch of different stuff too. Lagers.
I think I could say my favorite beer I've ever tasted was 7 or something from Hill Farmstead.
Hill Farmstead's amazing. Yeah.
That was the best I've ever had.
Yeah, they're great.
The guitar is tuned down to C for most of the songs on Epigone. Yes, the whole record, at least in the rhythm guitars, is open C minor. I am vehemently opposed to getting away from my standard tuning on bass, so I just resort to first position, first fret hell for the entire time.
Dan does this with the whole set.
That was something I totally didn't even consider. Originally, I was playing because everything on Epigone is an open tuning, open minor chord tuning, and I originally did it in D minor, which is closer to because all the previous records have just been in D standard, so I tried to do D minor open tuning, and I discovered that the way that the songs are written, my vocal range was just a little too high. There was just some high top parts of certain melodies that I just couldn't comfortably hit. So I brought everything down to C minor just for the sake of my voice. That was really the only reason I even brought it down there, and everything locked in vocally at C minor. And then, unfortunately, I didn't consider Dan's conundrum of having a low B string. And, sorry about that. Yeah.
I'll right back. I gotta use the Lulu.
We're in England, by the way.
The Lulu.
Well, now that Wayne's not here, question: Wayne, how tall are you?
Let's see if we can answer all the Wayne questions while he's going.
I want to say.
Actually, let's take a guess. How tall is Wayne?
I want to say 6'2".
There we go. 6'2". I think that must be it. We guess the same.
I'm gonna bump it up a little bit. Say 6'4".
No. What? No way.
No, I'm probably wrong, but
you're
gonna also say 6'2".
I was trying to decide between 6'1" and 6'2".
I'm gonna do the Price is Right and say 4 feet tall.
yeah.
All of Wayne, right?
Yeah.
So
We'll ask him when he gets back, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Hey, wait.
How tall are you? Wayne, how tall are you?
How tall am I?
Yeah.
I'm technically only 3.5 feet tall. The rest of me is 6 raccoons stacked on top of each other.
You have amazing balance and mobile ability.
Well, it's equal raccoons in each pant leg, so you know.
You really figured out how to control them.
Yeah, well, they've been with me quite some time. I'm almost 6'2". I'm
yeah.
almost
we were trying to guess before. Me and John both guessed 6'2".
Oh, okay, yeah. There you go.
You got it.
You win a cookie or something.
The rest of us are shorter than that.
Yeah, on stage. It's always so funny to see videos of us on stage because it's just like whatever side of the stage I'm on, the height just kind of goes whoop, like.
Yeah. Wayne, you should
us three are pretty similar. We're really close. Yeah.
You keep on getting right in the front of the stage, making yourself appear even larger.
And then when I stand on the box, I'm like 7 feet tall.
we just disappear. We're just gone.
It's honestly annoying.
Yeah. Should be the only one without a box.
No box for me. No more boxes.
And then you have the unique experience of standing next to Yuso on tour, and you're like, oh, I'm not the tallest guy on the tour anymore.
Yeah.
No, I know. That guy's like 9 feet tall.
What cities have you seen that are... It's moving on me. What cities have you seen that have great prog metal or folk metal scenes? How did you guys deal with finding musicians who wanted to play the music you like? Any advice?
Montreal is sick.
Montreal's great.
So is the question sort of like if you're like how to find those types of players, sort of like if you're looking to play that sort of music?
Seems to be so.
It's so hard because I feel like when you get into these genres, it's all niche no matter what city you're in. So like,
yeah.
And I guess I actually would say I generally feel like the Canadian cities, if I just had to guess based on our experience, I feel like the Canadian cities we've played, like the percentage of people into that music is maybe just a little greater. But then again, that's a different country. So I don't know. In terms of like, if we're just talking US, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how to judge that.
I mean, I think that you'll find a lot of prog fans in New England, and I think you'll find a lot of folk metal people in like the Midwest. That's at least been my.
You can't ignore the Berkeley influence on the Boston scene. So.
Oh, that's true. I mean, yeah, Boston. I mean, Austin's also a huge just music town. Yeah. So I got to imagine you would find.
Yeah. Nashville too.
More niche players in a town like Austin, probably LA too. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just saw. What songs are the most fun to play live?
Storm Along.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. All the songs we don't play anymore are the most fun songs. Yeah, we've intentionally, masochistically removed all fun songs from our set list. So.
I've actually had a hard time lately playing Storm Along live. There's long sections of where I don't do anything, and it's very jaunty, and I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, we aren't internally fun people anymore, so we can't. We've become too bitter, and no.
There's no more joy.
We cannot fake that sort of joy anymore on stage. No, we actually the last time we played Suncatcher was still really fun to play live. That one still feels like I don't know. It's certainly more bright and corny compared to our new stuff, but it still fits kind of well. Like that and Dying Californian from our first record, like those both are really fun. But I don't know, in terms of other songs that are really fun to play, I don't know.
I love playing Tyranny. I think that song is so fun to play, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Passenger a lot too. That was fun to play on the last tour. Like, there's just a lot of anything with a lot of energy. I always, the heaviest songs are always the most fun for me to play live, just because it's so like, I don't know. It's like the one chance I get to just like actually be aggressive, without it being a problem for society.
I think my experience is actually a lot different than your guys' experience, because for me it all has to do with it's so complicated, like combining the playing and the singing sometimes, that like I would agree on Passenger if it wasn't so, there weren't so many vocal parts, and it wasn't like there's a lot of parts that combine somewhat difficult guitar parts with singing. So that song is just kind of like, I'm just happy to get through it successfully. I would say actually Far From Where Dreams Unfurl is one of the most fun for me, because it's really easy on guitar, and there's like 4 minutes in the middle where I don't sing, so I can sit back and enjoy myself for a second. So
I would say every song is fun in sections, and then there are sections where I'm like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Okay, we did it.
The hardest one for you is like O Resolution, right? You always talk about O Resolution being sort of
yeah,
it's like a weird tempo, right?
Yeah, going back to earlier when someone asked me about the fast double bass, O Resolution is right in the Goldilocks zone of John sucking at double bass. It's too fast, slightly too fast. I can still do it. It's uncomfortable. It's slightly too fast for my singles and too slow for heel toe doubles. So yeah. By the way, someone asked if they could join the Discord because they missed the link. I just figured out how to make that link permanent, and I updated our last post on Facebook with this live chat. I put that in that post. So go to our Facebook and you should see a Discord link, and that one will not expire.
Is the link to our Discord on our link tree?
I don't think so.
It should be.
We should update that.
Yeah, honestly, it's that's been one of the coolest things so far, because it's just kind of like I'm not really a fan of like social media and stuff in general, but the Discord is just like such a more wholesome environment than like your Facebooks and Instagrams. So it's like really nice to converse with people who are, it's not full of trolls.
I will say this. If it is on our link tree, it's no longer valid. I fucked up with the first link, and it was like a 7-day.
Okay, I just checked, and it's not on there. So we'll update our link tree with Discord.
Use the link that I put in the latest post. That's a forever permanent link. So
yeah,
join us on our Discord.
I've said it a couple times, but I'm really bad at being active on the internet just with anything. So I tried to get on the Discord a few times. And it is really cool. It's been a lot of fun the few times I have gone and chatted in there. So yeah, thank you everyone who's joined that. That's been cool.
Someone said, "Is the Discord link active yet?" I just updated the post, so can you click on it and see and let me know? That'd be sick. Blaze Dragon X, you asked that question.
Actually, someone had asked earlier, I forgot whose idea was the Discord. That was John's.
What's up?
All that stuff.
I'm on a few Discords. I'm on Aether Realms Discord. I'm on Unleash the Archers Discord. I'm not as active on that. I'm also on just like a couple like personal friend group Discords. But yeah, it's a fun forum.
Yeah, I got to be more active on there too. I'm in the same boat as Evan. I almost like forget that it's there sometimes, just because.
There is
get involved in yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm done. I'm not talking.
There is a phone app, and that's how I'm able to be a little more active than.
It's on my phone too. I'm just bad at it. Whoops! Sorry, everyone.
This just in. Wayne sucks.
There you go.
Maybe I should. Can I can't make a comment in the. Can someone put the link in the YouTube chat? I can't do it, or I could, but.
Let me hold on. Yeah, I can.
We can't. But
that wasn't necessarily for you guys. Anybody? You don't find it? What? All right, I'm gonna make a special Facebook post from Wilderun with just the Discord link.
Cool.
Got a question that says, will we ever see Distraction Nola live?
I hope not. I can't play 2 drum parts at once.
We're just gonna bring a bunch of trash on stage and just.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps. I mean, the thing is, like, with a song like that, I mean, it needs to be played within the context of the whole thing. I mean, any of the songs off of Ash Memory or Distraction, I have a hard time imagining us doing any one part of those lives in isolation. So it's like it would have to play all of Distraction, or we play all.
Well,
of
and we've done sections of Ash Memory live before. I remember for a while we were doing Anso Opens the Earth, but then go into something else, and then a couple times we played Bite the Wound. It felt weird. Like, I think we all just collectively decided at some point to stop doing that because it just felt incomplete to us. It just felt like, I don't know, like it was like emotionally like dissatisfying to actually do that. So I think you're right. I think probably we'll only do it all together, Distraction or Ash Memory. If we ever do those, it's going to be the full thing. Distraction Noah, I got to, if we ever try to do that, the full thing and then Distraction Noah live, I got to imagine it's going to sound pretty different. I think that would be one of those things where we would figure out a way to do it live, and it probably would sound a little different than the record. But that would be fun, actually. I think we could probably find some interesting live rendition of it that would be an interesting yet difference than just listening to the record.
I got a fun idea. Any band we're touring with, we invite their drummer up on stage, and then we just play Distraction Nola. Because for people who don't know, that part is just literally 2 chaotic drum parts.
Yeah, we splice together because it's more of a production, piece than it is a performance piece. And there's a couple drum kits going on. Yeah,
it's literally me it's me doing nonsense twice.
Filling all the gaps, so we're like all the transients basically just start to blend together into this complete like attack.
Yeah, I think I almost think maybe if we did Distraction a lot, I don't want to speak to. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but maybe we would actually strip it down back to the more clear chord and melody, and maybe even bring in a groove. I don't know. That would be kind of just. It would have to be fairly different, because I think trying to replicate it live, especially with just one drum kit, would just sound dumb. So,
I mean, if I had to guess, well, you could probably get it where I would probably approach it where it's like, let's see how it sounds with like, just one drum kit, like you doing the chords, like maybe like Wayne like trem picking the melody, and then I've got that the plasma coil pedal, I can just fuzz out the bass. And then we have the whatever's in the backing tracks, but then we could always theoretically bring in another drum kit in the backing tracks. So
second drum kit in the backing track.
Yeah, and then we start to decide that like we don't need John anymore. We can start putting the main drum kit in the back.
All the drums in the backing tracks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about that with bass for years now. Just kidding.
People are saying in the chat, like, bringing Tyler up on stage for the next Wilderun tour and having me and him do Distraction Nola at the same time. I'm down.
That'd be cool.
I mean, that would be cool, although that poor sound guy having to set up a whole 15 minutes of nonsense.
Here's this other drummer you really like. It all sounds like garbage. We should honestly, we should honestly just have, we'll just throw all the drums in the backing tracks for Distraction Nola, and we'll bring Tyler up on stage, and John and Tyler just fight the whole time.
We just have a wrestling match.
Yeah,
it's a wrestling match instead of the song. It's not. We don't even play the song. We just get on top of wrestling.
Evan, just so you know, you're real glitchy right now.
Yeah. Okay. Stop talking.
And Same goes for Distraction 2's ending. Well, Distraction 2's ending is actually doable because it's really most of the chaos from that actually comes from what we did is we were playing a riff and then everyone intentionally starts getting off the click at different speeds and fluctuates. So like you get that kind of chaos and everything starting to unfurl. And like, then you have like what we did too with the gang vocals was like, you have that It's Coming Undone line. And like, so everyone starts singing that at random times. And that's all actually just kind of live playing. There isn't a lot of production going into that. That's more performance-based.
Guess we'll have to figure out how to do that live.
Let's practice playing off the click.
Oh, I'm real good at that.
Yeah.
There was a question that I saw. Oh, what's it like working with Jens Bogren? He is fantastic. It was honestly like quite easy. You know, we sent him everything, which was a lot. I think it came to somewhere between like 400 and 500 tracks, and he just spat out a mix back at us, which at first was like, I think we were all like blown away with how much you could actually hear of everything. And then we realized.
Just to clarify really quick, sorry, I'm sure most people know this, but when we say 400 to 500 tracks, we don't mean like songs. We mean, like stems. We don't mean like 400 or 500 songs. We mean like stems from the recording.
Yeah, like
a song.
Like
just
a guitar bass track.
What did you say, Evan?
If anyone didn't understand what he said, just in case, it tracks meaning like within a section, so guitar tracks, bass tracks, drum tracks, you know, etc., etc. Not like songs. We didn't send 500 songs. That would be stupid. But no, I mean, so like we got all that back, and we were really like blown away with how much we could actually hear from all these things. Because when we're working on every element of the song by itself, we tend to listen to it as like, all right, if we're doing the orchestration and the synths, when we send those versions back and forth to each other, those will be mixed in a little higher so you can hear what's going on. And then when you're tracking the guitars are a little louder. But once you hear everything mixed, we're like, there's way too much stuff happening at the same time. And we really need to like be a little choosier about what we strip out. So that was like the most eye-opening thing for me. It was just how much we can get away with not doing that we do.
Yeah.
But he's a pro. I mean, we'd have a long list of notes and stuff after that, because he was like, really like, let me know what are the important things to highlight in all these sections. We'd send him the notes with all that stuff back, and it would just kind of be a back and forth process, whittling down the notes until they got to nothing. So
yeah, just shout out to Jens for dealing with our absurd pickiness with certain things.
then absolutely,
The first set of notes was a little ridiculously long, but that's not anything. He did an amazing job regardless, but we just are really picky. I think I'm okay now. I don't have the little signal in my corner, so
right now you're good.
I think I'm okay.
You guys seen a question here? I'm like poking through.
Do you want me to like bring up some stuff?
Yeah.
Here's a good one. How'd you guys meet in the first place?
Strip club.
The official Broccoli School of College strip club.
The
Berkeley Strip Club, yes.
School of college.
Yeah, we all went to school for college. We all majored in college.
John, did we? So I think. Oh, there's a puppy.
There's my
Odin.
dog. One of my dogs. Odin, say hi to all the people in YouTube land.
It's the nice one.
Yeah.
The one that doesn't bark in your face.
Good God.
Oh man! Of course, we get our stereotypical metal band dude who has a dog named Odin. So there you go.
There you go.
Now we're a band.
Yeah, he's got a beard. You know.
Yeah. So I was trying to think, John. I think I knew you first, and me and you knew each other from. Did we meet because of Rebel Sire, or did we meet? We met a little before that.
Here's a great story. I heard you playing Ghost of Perdition on drums in a practice room, and I interrupted you.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, "Whoa, what's up, bro?" And then I added you on Facebook, and then I saw you do a cover of a song. And I was already in Rebel Sire at the time, and we were looking for somebody to do vocals. And I was like, this guy, he's real good. And then that's how it happened.
So yeah, that was kind of right during my end of drum playing days, and then I was transitioning more to vocals and guitar and stuff. And then me and John both used to play in a band called Rebel Sire, and that was sort of. And then at that point I was trying to figure out how to get the Wilderun record made. Again, it was before it was sure that I wanted it to be a band, and we were just kind of thinking about an album. And I actually put out flyers for me and Wayne literally met because of a flyer I put up, which was the most like goofy, like stereotypical thing you could ever like, and it actually worked, and that's how me and Wayne met. Yeah,
I tore off the little tab.
Yeah, just for a band. Yeah, I can't believe it actually worked. And then Dan, me and Dan met last, and Dan, you knew John and Wayne first. You guys had kind of jammed together a little bit, and then me and you basically met because we needed a bass player, and then you joined the band. And then,
and then you came over my apartment, and then you realized that you used to live right above me.
That's true. Yeah, we lived right below each other for like a year, maybe 2 years, and we literally never met.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I think we had like a couple points. Like I saw you go outside. I was like, "Oh, nice to meet you. Okay, bro." That was it. Yeah.
Did you do the typical Broccoli, first conversation? Hey, we should jam sometime.
No,
it never happens.
I don't know if I ever
socially anxious. I never asked anyone to jam.
I remember I think I remembered you because I saw you wear a Sun shirt one day, and I was like, you don't see that a lot at Berkeley.
Yeah, Sun is not a typical Berkeley favorite. Notes.
Someone asked a question about tabs. We don't have any because we don't use them. It's all usually like if we have to show each other something, it's we'll record a video and send it to someone. But more or less, we do things just kind of by ear.
I'm glad I don't have to play, Guitar Pro drum parts that were written by a guitar player that are freaking impossible. The only silver lining is Evan actually is a drummer, so he kind of understands. He's not going to write something impossible.
Yeah. I've given you some close to impossible parts.
What's the?
Maybe that's stretching it. I've given you a few things that I know I could never play. I'll say that.
Yeah, I would say the hardest drum parts yet are on Epigone, and it's because you let me actually write them.
That's true. Yeah, you
from scratch.
Your own grave there.
I dug my own grave. Yeah.
Here's two questions that kind of go together. So first one was, I know you guys said you would do more on songwriting later, but could you talk about the basics of just putting together ideas? And then someone else asked, when someone writes a new riff, how do you determine where or if it is placed in a song? So I mean, for all of our records so far, it's kind of been like Evan has some core melodies, harmonies, and song structures that he demos out, and then he sends those to us, and we start kind of fleshing out those ideas. Like we all write our own like drum parts, bass parts, leads, and then once that kind of basic structure is kind of settled, we have like kind of a rhythm band section. Then we start working in the orchestrations and the synths, and then from once those start getting put more together, it's kind of like we see what happens out of that process, and then we start adjusting things in the band again, and it's kind of a back and forth essentially between like the metal band portion and the backing tracks portion, you know. That's the general things.
Yeah, and like I said, I think at some point we'll do a deep dive video series or something, and then we can explain that in much greater.
Yeah,
detail.
there's a lot of like nitty gritty stuff that I think is pretty interesting, but
yeah,
wax poetic about that for a long time.
Yeah.
Dan, does the sound panel have any noticeable impact? Yeah, I mean primarily those two bass traps, more so than that one over there. But for anyone who is looking to do music production in their own room, spend as much money as you can on acoustic treatment, because it's honestly the only thing that matters. So your speakers can kind of be whatever. It's, you know, like obviously nice speakers are cool, but if you have like super expensive, like $2,000 speakers and your room's untreated, you're getting nothing out of those speakers.
Also, do a search on YouTube for how to build your own panels, because you can build your own acoustic panels for easily $20 to $25 a panel. All the ones in my room, like all like this stuff and the stuff behind my, this is not my actual real studio. This is just my makeshift one to work on stuff. All these panels I built myself with rock wool and some lumber from Home Depot. I probably acoustically treated an entire 15 by 11 room for about $500 or $600 total. And if you were to buy panels, they will cost you about $100 to $125 a panel. So you can spend the money, or if you have a garage and a tiny bit of know-how to cut some wood, you could build your own panels. There's tons of videos on YouTube about it if you want to get DIY with it and save some money. But I completely agree with Dan. It's the most valuable purchase you can make for a music room is acoustically treating it. Everything else comes after.
Hey, Luke from Discord here. I talked with Evan a bit about D&D in Rochester, and I wonder if you write the songs with a narrative or world in mind for each of the albums, even with conceptual lyrics.
D&D. I've never played D&D, so I don't know. Maybe it was one of those conversations where we both thought we were talking about different things. So,
the loud venue syndrome.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe you were, I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying. So apologies. I've never played D&D before, or maybe I've always wanted to play D&D. It's one of those things that I wish if Joe were here, he's the D&D guy. He knows all about that. I appreciate board gaming. I've only played played a few like board games that are full-on campaigns, but I've actually never done D&D, so sorry. But in terms of, so you were asking just kind of like, I'm not exactly sure how that relates to the rest of the question, but just I think this concept sort of stuff.
I think he just wanted to say who he was to you, and then
okay.
And
I'm sorry, man.
For reference, I'm that person. And here's my question.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, conceptually, it's not really much there's a lot of just themes. There's like a lot of themes that go through each record, I think, and like I want to make sure that everything feels cohesive and like and ties together in some way. But there's never like we've never done a proper concept record, like a proper legit like plot that takes place from beginning to end. Like the closest thing was Sleep to the Edge of the Earth. Kind of had this vague plot line that went through it, but it was still vague. It's always like an emotional arc, an emotional sort of beginning and end, not anything really concrete, because I just want to leave room open for personal interpretation and creating your own sort of story. But I like to think that I leave enough. I have like sometimes little stories and narratives going through my own head, but it's not like I'm conveying that literally either. Like I just try to always leave some room open for interpretation. But there's definitely themes that go through each record that hopefully connect it a little bit.
Another question. I was wondering how you choose the visual artists you work with, album and merch art, and how involved are you in the concepts?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like we try and look for pre-existing pieces of art for our covers, because the idea of well, first of all, none of us are particularly visual art minded, so we don't often know what we want until we see it. So that's why it's generally we find more success in just finding a piece that works, and we find just some sort of emotional connection with the music somehow, and then we'll use that. Merch is a little different. We find artists we like, and we just kind of we'll either give them a vague concept, or usually what we'll do is like we'll say like we'll make a shirt for this song, so we'll give them the lyrics and like the general meaning and just let them run with it. It's a little less pressure with merch.
Yeah. I think the only original art we've had commissioned for any of our stuff was Olden Tales. That's the only commissioned art. But it was a very similar process. We told my cousin Eric like the sort of the adjectives that described that record, and then that's what he came up with, So
talking about hobbies, what non-music related hobbies do you guys have?
I rob banks. I pick a new one.
I feel like Dan, you have some of the most interesting ones.
I'm definitely into hunting and fishing. That's kind of my thing, I guess. Like I get up early and I like to just spend time outdoors. The main reason I got into those specifically is because I really enjoy food and sustainable sources of food the best. So like I kind of figured like if I'm gonna be consuming meat in any way, then I should partake in that as much as I can. So try and be as low impact on the environment. That's kind of that's kind of the most of my non-music related interests.
I enjoy woodworking. I'm just a hobbyist at it, but I really enjoy building things. I built all kinds of. Basically, it was born out of me needing furniture for my studio, and I didn't want to spend the exorbitant amount of money they cost to buy desks and stuff. So I just started building rack stuff for my studio because it was just so much cheaper. And then I really started enjoying that. I build like the panels and stuff. I that's probably my biggest outside hobby is, whenever I get a chance to do that, I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff.
I enjoy cooking. And I don't have any hobbies that I feel like are interesting enough to bring up here. I think they're all very normal. Don't
I like
coffee. I like trying to make brewed coffee.
Yeah, I like cooking and specifically like vegetarian style stuff. And I say I like gaming, but I have friends who like gaming, and I feel like I can't keep up. I would say I like running, but I haven't really been doing that a lot lately. Naps. I like naps.
That's a good hobby.
I'm a professional. I don't do that as a hobby. You guys were awesome in Detroit last December. Do you guys have any input on who you tour with, or does the label pick them for you? If so, what band would you most want to tour with?
I'm actually curious about this. Like, how did we end up on this Follow the Sun tour? I kind of missed that.
I mean, we're new to this, so I don't think we have any very good answers, clear-cut answers. But my sense is, like, being Follow the Sun was the kind of first tour we did that was through an agent, and it was like a full, country tour. So again, take everything we say with a grain of salt. We probably don't know nearly as much as other bands. But my sense that I'm getting, based on what we've done so far, is that a lot of things can be different depending on the situation. Like, there's not necessarily a clear-cut way that it all works. Like, because there's clearly tours people get on because they know the bands personally, and there's some more of a personal connection there, which is good. You want to tour with people that you know, and you can you're kind of in close quarters with people. So, but then there's just straight up booking agent type things to set it up because that's the deals they're able to make through a booking agent. Well, the Sun in particular was facilitated a little bit more by our label. And sometimes it's like a joint effort between, I think there can be joint efforts between labels and booking agents, a little bit here, a little bit there, like kind of who, and it also just depends on like what is even available and like what opportunities show up and who is connected to that opportunity. So, a booking agent, like a tour booking agent of that tour is going to be looking potentially for an opener or two. And if you just happen to be lucky enough to be reaching out to them and looking for the same thing at that same time, then it can work out. It just, I don't know. Again, I take everything I say with a grain of salt because I don't really know. We don't really know that well, but it seems like it can work in a lot of different ways depending on the situation.
Management too. Like we have really good management that always does what they can to get our name out there with other booking agents and essentially. So at this point, we kind of like we wait for emails from him to see what are potential options for us, and he helps navigate those waters for us and make those connections.
What about that other question? Like, who do we want to tour with? Personally, I've already been on tour with a band I really want to go on tour with, and I want to do it again.
Who is that?
Unleash the Archers.
Oh, right, yeah, a tour not with Wilderun. Yeah, exactly.
No. I mean, I prefer it be us on that tour, but
yeah, that'd be great.
But
yeah, I'm trying to think who. I don't know. You guys got anything?
Major Parkinson would be cool.
Yeah,
just like because that would be a real eclectic matchup, and I think it's just kind of like two opposite sides of the same coin, which would be really cool.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Major Parkinson is not a very big band for who knows why. They're like a band from Norway. They're kind of like a experimental rock band, kind of proggy, kind of not. I don't know. They're hard to describe, which is why they're great. But I don't know why they aren't more popular than they are. But they're incredible. That'd be great to tour with them. We actually probably. Well, if they ever come over here, I don't know if they ever venture outside of Norway, but that would be a lot of fun. As far as like bigger bands, I don't know. You mentioned Dimmu Borgir before. That'd be awesome.
That would be a good one, I think. With the current fan base / streaming rates, concert visitors, merch sales, are you able to sustain yourself solely through the work with the band, or do y'all have any day jobs? We all have day jobs at this point. which pay the bills. For instance, I work as a land surveyor full time, and I'm lucky enough to be able to work while on the road, so I'm not eating up all my PTO. But I mean, music and metal especially is a tough place to actually make a living off of. Not that
you'd be surprised. Everyone would be surprised at how few very well-known musicians in the metal scene actually make a full-time living off of their band. It's not that many. It's even. We're probably not going to get. We don't want to get into specifics here, but yeah, even some fairly well-known people still have. It's still just a part-time income source.
It'd be nice to have supplemental income from Wilderun.
Honestly, the goal is just simply supplemental at this point.
Yeah,
that'd be sick. I'm in the same position as Dan. I have a full-time job that I can do from the road. I work IT or technical support at Dell, and I did that on 2 tours for the first time last year, and it was freaking exhausting. But
yeah, you almost killed yourself, John. You were so miserable by the end of that second tour.
Yeah.
Well, the time change makes it so hard on you.
Yeah, because if I'm on the West Coast, I have to get up at 4 a.m. to start work.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes like when we finally get on the road.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, the show's over, we're all packed up. It's 2 a.m. Have a nice hour nap, John.
I just want to make a quick note. We probably should have said this at the beginning, but I remember privately we had said that we were going to keep this to around 2 hours. So maybe how about we? So we're a little over 2 hours right now. We want to say maybe go until 2.5, and then we'll.
Yeah, that's good.
We should have given it time. We should have given a time limit at the beginning of the chat. We forgot about that. But let's say 20 more minutes, and then we'll probably have to be calm.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
What drew you to use the poetry of William Wordsworth on Veil of Imagination? He was born in my hometown, so I find it really cool that a band from across the pond took inspiration from a local poet to me.
Hey, that's Owen. Owen, one of our first fans ever.
Yeah. That's Owen.
Hey, dude.
I hope
I was just talking to Owen on Twitter about roller coasters. So yeah, I know. Yeah, both me and Owen are big. Well, and John, you're a coaster nerd.
I don't get into the statistics like you do.
The nitty gritty of it, yeah.
Evan has a serial killer spreadsheet of roller coasters.
Yeah, we don't need to get too into that. But yeah, it's yeah.
No, it's cool. You have
definitely an enthusiast, that's for sure.
No, I think it's cool. I don't think it's dumb at all. I think it's cool that you have such a passion for it.
That should have been your hobby. Why didn't you say that?
Yeah, that's just like a.
I don't know. I think it's
nerdy
cool.
interest. But yeah, no. That poem though is just like. I'm not like I don't follow like any particular poet's like work. You know, I'm not intimately familiar with any one poet. I just like kind of just like various poetry, and I've liked some Wordsworth that I've seen, that I've read, but I'm not like super familiar with all of his work. But it was actually just kind of coincidental that I was in the middle of. I think I was just in the middle of the lyric writing process for Veil of Imagination when I just totally came across that poem by happenstance online, that and the one towards the end, which is I believe really Eliot, T.S. Eliot, and yeah, it just happened to line up a lot with some of the things I was trying to say with the Veil of Imagination lyrics. It just kind of worked out. I honestly just kind of lucked into it. So, but yeah, no serious reason beyond that, but it just happened to fit really well. All right. Who's Dan? You got the next question?
I am looking.
There's a few in there that we've totally glossed over. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Yeah, sorry for asking questions, everybody. It's not on purpose at all.
I guess I could also try to find questions.
So who's the most famous
Too many
person?
cooks in the kitchen here.
I got one.
Okay.
Who's the most famous person any of you have ever hung out with?
Most famous person we've ever hung out with?
I used to work for Hans Zimmer, so I would see him a lot. I mean,
that's the answer.
We're not like friends. I actually, while working for him, walked through the alleyway to go from his building to another building. He had seen me earlier that day and didn't recognize me and wondered why I was in the alleyway. I had seen him earlier that day, and I walked to a different building, and I had put on a flannel or something, and he looked at me like I was some random homeless person, like, walking through the alleyway.
It's beautiful.
And I waved at him, and he gave me this look like,
oh God,
like, dude, I saw you 4 hours ago.
dude.
I mean, he sees like a billion people every day. You know, he's not concerned with the little peons that work there too much. You know, like keeping track of how many people work at his company, of course. But I suppose, like, as far as famous people, that's the most famous person that I've had interaction with.
Yeah, I think if we're just picking one person amongst our collective, that wins. Yeah.
But we've all met like tons of other musicians and stuff, especially on 70K. You know, we were running into people all the time.
Yeah, I would say, like, I don't know. I guess Martin Lopez would be mine, and/or I don't know who's bigger than who. Honestly, touring with Unleash the Archers, does that count? That was cool.
I could tell a funny Hans Zimmer story if you want, really quick. I was in a different room next to his room where he could see me, and he was working on something, and he came in. I was late at night. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was printing stems for my boss, and he came in to ask me about a piece of gear that was in that room, and it's one of those Kemper amps, and he was asking me about like, oh, where did my boss buy it? And he was thinking of getting one, and I was like, oh yeah, I mean, he got it. He's had it for a while. It's really cool. And Hans was like, yeah, they come in white and they come in green. And Hans was like, oh, is these the only colors? Like, oh, they come in white. And he's like, oh, I can't own anything white because I'll spill spaghetti all over it. And he said this to me while wearing an entirely white outfit, like a white polo shirt, white linen pants, asking if he could get a Kemper in white, and then proceeded to tell me that he can't own it because he'll specifically spill spaghetti on it while wearing all white. I didn't quite know how to take that conversation, but it's a fun.
And there was no reflection of the white that he was wearing.
No, it was he just was wearing white, and he was like, "I'll spill spaghetti all over it."
Like he wasn't.
But you're. Are you eating spaghetti now? Because watch out, because you're wearing all white.
Get away from the pasta, sir.
That's funny. It was quite the interesting time working over there.
I noticed you guys don't have any second voices live, even though it's obvious you guys can pull this off. What's the reason for that?
That's not true.
Well, I mean, if I'm assuming you're talking about like the gang vocals. Well, I mean, there's no way to accurately create the sound of like layered gang vocal tracks with 4 dudes on stage. So even if we all had a microphone, it just wouldn't sound like that. So for that reason, that they'll always be in the backing tracks as well. But we were for a while doing like I have a microphone on stage for a couple parts, and I was doing like gang vocal lines as well, but we decided on this last tour to not do that because like it was all just kind of singing unisons, and with unisons, unless you're singing perfectly in tune with each other, it's gonna sound weird and wonky. And even if you were just singing perfectly in unison, it just would be like a weird chorusy kind of sound.
Yeah, two people, even three people, just singing in unison, especially in the loud metal context where you can't really perfectly hear yourself, even if you have good monitoring. It so often just sounds weak and dumb, and like harmonies are different. And as long as you can get the harmony like sort of right, like and you can get close enough to the pitches, a harmony with two or even maybe even 3-person harmony can work decently well. But when you're trying to do unison and it's really upfront and obvious in the speakers, it's so hard to make it sound good at all. And we kind of discovered that, I think, the most on this tour. So we just said, listen, we have the backing choirs and stuff, which you can't replicate live unless you literally have a choir. So obviously we put some of those in the backing tracks, but just having it be a background to just my single vocal, that sounded the best. So that's what we did.
Yeah, 10 minutes left.
You guys need me to help hunt for questions here?
Oh, well, the newest one, actually. I guess question for Wayne. I mean, you've probably touched on this a little bit now, but how was your experience working for Hans Zimmer?
Oh, I mean, that's another topic that you could talk forever about. But I guess to summarize it would be, okay, so let me clarify. I worked for Hans Zimmer. Kind of owns. He has a campus in Santa Monica where there's a lot of different companies that he's involved in, and so he helped establish, as a partnership with a music production library called Extreme Music, a company called Bleeding Fingers Music, and that company specifically writes music for television. They branched out into like TV show, like score to picture TV shows now. After I stopped working there. But when I worked there, I wrote music for tons and tons of like reality shows and other like documentary type things. It was the whole thing was a custom music shop designed for TV that was established by Hans Zimmer. So I didn't work on any like movies with Hans Zimmer, but I worked on TV shows that he was involved in, if that makes any sense, because the company involved him. So my interactions with Hans Zimmer were kind of few and far between. At the first couple of years I worked there, his big studio, which some of you may have seen in documentaries on movies and stuff, there's a room right next to it that he can use for recording, like an ISO booth, and it's big enough to put a whole other studio in. And so I worked in that room. So during that first year and a half, I would tiptoe through Hans Zimmer's studio every day while he was working on Interstellar or whatever, and like, oh, don't disturb him, and try not to trip on a synth that costs more than my whole life, and then make it into my little room and, write music for, Alaskan bush people. It was way different than working on Interstellar. I'd be like writing music for some reality show, and I look over and like Matt Damon's on the screen. I'm like, oh, I'm not doing anything that matters. But I mean, the experience there at that company was my skill level grew exponentially every day because of the just the trial by fire that exists working at a company like that. There's everything moves so quickly in TV, and you got to be good at stuff right away or it doesn't get done. And there's ups and downs on on jobs like this. It got to a point where when my personal life priorities of wanting to start a family with my wife and just spending time with my wife in general. And of course I was losing out on time with Wilderun and just my friends and everything, that the job started to become all consuming and occupying all of my time. And it was negatively affecting me emotionally and mentally after a while. So I ended up leaving. But looking back on it now that I've been out of it for a few years, I can say wholeheartedly and honestly that I'm extremely grateful for the skills and experience that I gained working there. and the connections that I have that have outlasted my my employment at the company. I'm extremely grateful for all of that, and I look back on all the negative stuff with a grain of salt now, because I can see how those negative experiences that I may have had are actually valuable as well, because it teaches you things that, as you work freelance on your own, it teaches you workflows and work ethoses that you wouldn't want to adopt for yourself or people that may work for you in the future. So I think that all of it was intrinsically valuable. And I've got funny stories about Hans Zimmer spilling spaghetti on his shirt. So, another fun Hans Zimmer fact. When he has a very specific, many interns at the company told me this, that Hans Zimmer has a very specific coffee order, and the amount of sugar that he wants in his coffee is not a measured amount. It's pouring sugar into a cup for a certain amount of seconds.
That can vary. But what about like the strength of pour? I mean, you can just dunk it, or you could like slowly.
You count a certain amount of Mississippis, and when you get there, you're done.
Yeah, but is it like one Mississippi or like one Mississippi? Is that just...
I think that's how you find out who are the good interns, because they know the amount of angle.
So in order to succeed, okay. How about so in order to succeed in the music, in the film scoring business, you have to have an innate intuition on how to pour sugar. That's what I'm getting from. All right.
I think
good to know. I'm gonna work on that, and then maybe I'll be a successful musician.
If you can practice your angle of sugar pouring.
Yeah. I just got to get that perfect balance. All right.
Dude, it is so insane how working in a place where there's big time film composers, how like the coffee thing is like the most important decision that gets made all day. It's so bizarre. There's millions and millions of dollars worth of equipment, and like Zack Snyder's coming in to talk about the Justice League movie, and none of it matters if the coffee's wrong. It's like so bizarre.
So frustrating.
But yeah, so it was a crazy experience. There were definitely ups and downs, but I'm glad that I've been able to gain a lot of skill level and a lot of interesting stories and memories and connections now. So anyway, there you go.
All right, let's do two more questions and then we'll call it. I got two good ones here. So we got, do you practice anymore after playing for so many years? Me personally, not really. I practice if a part that I want to play or need to play calls for it, like I'll drill that. But as far as like practicing scales and rudimentary stuff, like no. But before every album, I do make a point of like learning some new songs by other artists, just trying to like get some new shapes and stuff under my fingers that I can maybe incorporate into my bass lines on the next record.
I should do that. I don't do that. I literally just practice what I write and what we play. That's at least for a few years now. I think maybe beginning of the band, I used to play some more songs by other people. I should probably get back into that though, because I think that is beneficial. I haven't done it in a while, but
I kind of just the same. I usually just sit down and play Wilderun stuff. Although lately I have ran the Either set that I did with them just to keep that up because it's fun. But yeah, it's just basically just Wilderun stuff. Although I have been thinking about getting into actually learning new songs again by artists that I probably won't ever play with. I should do that.
Wayne, do you still practice at all, or?
Like just outside of.
Oh, I see.
There's your answer. That's it.
You know.
Yeah, no, I would say that I practice. I I'm in the same boat as Evan. I think I haven't like learned a song in forever, and I think it's mostly just because most of my playing outside of Wilderun is usually when I'm doing like session work for some project or using the guitar to compose for a project. So I'm not really practicing anything. It's, I'm like using it to do work. So the amount of time I actually spend sitting there and like going over my scales and stuff, I focus more on that when I know there's a Wilderun thing like coming up, and I get, refresh myself on not only the songs, but just like technical, exercises and whatnot. But yeah, I probably should too. It's probably super beneficial to learn songs. There's like tons of songs I used to know that I can't play anymore. It'd be nice to be able to play them again.
Same here. I was just thinking that. Yeah. All right. Well, this is a good question because this can be a good reminder to all of us to freaking start.
Yeah.
Yeah. No shit.
Yes.
I'm telling you, we got about 5 months until Prog Power. We should decide on a set list and just hammer that for 5 months. We'll be really solid.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah. Last question. This is a good one, mainly for Wayne and Dan. Do you have any tips on orchestrating in metal? How much have you learned / improved on doing that since Olden Tales?
I mean, they certainly sound better now than they did on Olden Tales.
Yeah, well, the software is just so much better in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like tips and stuff go. I mean, I would say like definitely just. I mean, in our case, we were always just like thinking that having a bunch of things, playing things at the same time makes things sound bigger, but a lot of the times I'm finding that less is more. And when because the way I think of it, and this is kind of like a production thing, but like you have like a box, which is like, this is your total amount of sound you can fit in just like an audiophile headroom. And so you can either have like 100 things in there that are this big filling up that box, or you can have like 4 things that are this big and that fills up the box. And those 4 things are going to sound massive because they have the room for it and they're not all crowded by these other things. So being very intentional in your choices, and if you are going to have instruments double things, just like make sure that they are sonically cohesive together. And a lot of it's orchestrating is basically just mixing with instruments instead of with faders and stuff. So you just choose the instruments that sound best within that frequency range to fill that.
Yeah, rhythm guitar and orchestra has always been a big old conflict. Rhythm guitar, like the lead guitar, like the drums, or I mean, I guess bass is a conflict too. But I don't know. Rhythm guitar has always been the trickiest thing to balance with the orchestra.
Yeah, and also turn your gain way down on your rhythm guitar track.
That's a good point. We usually keep my rhythm guitar is usually fairly low gain in almost everything I do because the gain just takes up so many frequencies and makes you that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I think if I were to add a tip, again, I think we'll do some more videos about this where we can talk more about it. But I think a tip, first of all, you never need double bass. Like the orchestral basses, you never need them in metal. You're never going to hear it. You just don't need it. Don't ever use it. Don't ever.
Yeah. Let's delineate. Let's make sure people know we're talking about the orchestral. That's not.
You never need this. None of this.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Orchestral basses. You do not.
You never need them in metal.
Never. You'll just end up muting them or turning. You don't need them. But I think on Epigone something we always run into the problem where we've written too much stuff. It's just the way it goes. But I think on Epigone,
we thought it wasn't going to happen this time, but we were still very wrong. we got this. We're going to only include the instruments that we need. Everything's going to balance out. And then we got to the end of it, and we're like, all right, mute that, get rid of that. What are you doing?
Yep.
So yeah, it always happens.
It always happens. But I think something that we did right on Epigone that was different than before is that at least when I was orchestrating, I focused more on writing lines that move than just chords, because if you've got a strumming electric guitar, that already takes up like a block. It's such a huge chunk of frequency space. And then if you put brass chords sustaining in the same range, or string chords sustaining in the same range, just to be there, first of all, it masks over the actual rhythm of the guitar because you're just going to hear the block of sustained nonsense. So it's more important to hear the strumming or the rhythm of the guitar stuff in some parts. But generally, your ear as a listener is going to latch on to things that are moving more than things that are just taking up space sustaining. So if you can choose a few instruments that fit sonically, that write lines, that move and weave in and out of like important chord tones, that's ultimately going to make your arrangement sound more complex and more, interesting to listen to than just being large. Because there is a point where being large doesn't matter because it's just going to sound like mud. But if you got some strumming electric guitar stuff and fast double kick going, and then you have like, cellos and you have woodwind runs going in the higher frequencies, and you've got some lower strings doing some climbing, cascading lines or whatever, that kind of stuff your ear's going to hear because they're moving. So I think a good tip is just find where you can find where you can write things that are moving more, not crazy, not like super fast, but just lines that have motion to them. Your ear will latch on to the motion, and you'll actually hear the orchestra more than if you just put big block chords in there. You're not going to hear the block chords. It's going to be masked over by something, and you're going to end up turning one of them down. But single moving lines, you'll hear.
Yeah. Another thing I want to add to that too is try and break up your chord voicings between different groups of instruments. It's most of us are sitting here like orchestrating with a keyboard in front of us, so you have your string patch up, and you're just kind of like, bro, there's that chord, next chord. Now we're gonna have the brass on this section, bro. It's like, well, if you're gonna play like a C major, for instance, have the brass play C, have the strings on E and the woodwinds on G, and see what that sounds like, and then do variations on things like that. It just gets a more cohesive texture instead of just blocks you're trying to stack on top of each other.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Dan, actually. And also to piggyback on that, with virtual instruments, keep in mind that when you load up a sample library, when you hit a key on your keyboard and you play a string sound from some sample library, that sound you're accessing is a recording of 30 players playing that note. So middle C on the violin patch is 30 violinists playing middle C. Then when you play an entire block chord, you're adding 30 players every time you play an additional note. So if you're going to play a 5-voice chord on a string patch, you got 150 players of the same sonic texture doing the same thing. So as much as you can split up stuff, I on Epigone especially, I defaulted a lot to using like patches that were only a solo violin or maybe even just like 3 players or something, because then eventually as you stack up all the players, you eventually get to the size of a full orchestra without it being like every single chord that you played. If you have a French horn patch and you play a major triad, you've got like 50 French horns playing that triad. That would never exist in an orchestra ever. It would sound unnatural, and it just makes a lot of guff. So, when you're doing this virtually, it's even more important to think about what Dan was saying, is spreading things out as much as you can, because it'll sound more natural just intrinsically.
And also with when you're talking about using like on Epigone, these small ensemble patches and stuff, like part of how we got all the orchestra elements to sound so big is that you have those small synth those orchestral elements playing, and they're very defined. They're a little bit closer mic'd, so you get the detail out of it that cuts through the mix. But then you have the synths will do more kind of like the blocky chord things behind it, because the synths are naturally, they can evolve more. Like a string pad is just going to be through the length of the bow, whereas a synth patch can just kind of dance around that, be a little bit more dramatic in that sense. and you stack them on top of each other, and it just, in a way, you like creates a phantom sound of something being larger than it actually is.
I think we'll make some sort of video where we talk more in depth about this kind of, because it's a topic you could talk for hours on this stuff and still not cover everything. There's a billion things to talk about, but
also I'm getting tired, bored listening to this. We're not talking
Now that everyone,
I think we can all sum this up with Jake's most recent comment, which is root third fifth octave. That's how that basically sums up everything that you were just trying to say. Just try it. There we go. It's done. You get all
music.
God help you if there's a seventh in there. Come for you.
All right. Well, I think that's it. I think my blood sugar level is just like, because I haven't eaten anything today, and I think I lost consciousness 30 minutes ago. So I'm somehow still here. But all right, cool. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for joining. Sorry for any questions that we missed. We tried to hit as many as we can, but it's literally impossible. But
just a reminder.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do it. I'm sure we'll do it again. This is fun. What did you say, John?
Just a reminder, check our Facebook. We posted a link to our Discord, and you can come on there and talk to me.
Bring John on the Discord. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get these guys more involved. But
I know. I'll
click
try
that link.
I need to get on there more. I'm sorry again about that. I will. Yeah, please join the Discord, and I guess that's it for now. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
You.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.